So, I do think this is alarming, and it does need to be talked about because the words are coming straight from the man himself. I wanted to turn your attention to a video posted on Twitter by user, okay, bear with me here, D1VDSAGUJSK2IPK. And their Twitter user is in Russian. I can't read the Russian alphabet, unfortunately. They went out there and posted this video yesterday, talking about how Montreal Canadiens prospect Ivan Demidov just gave a video interview in the midst of an SKA St. Petersburg training session. Now, this video will be linked in the description if you want to go ahead and listen to it yourself. It's a minute 33, and there actually are subtitles at the bottom, so you can follow along with what it is that Demidov talks about. Essentially, though, I mean, of course, it's an SKA St. Petersburg video interview, and Demidov is an SKA St. Petersburg guy. So for him to go out there onto the microphone and speak out, he's talking about the team, he's talking about the progress, he's talking about the identity, he's talking about the vision. He's talking about SKA St. Petersburg. There isn't anything Montreal related in this, but if you're a fan of the Russian hockey team, then hey, this could be your calling. The reason I'm saying that this is concerning is because of some ideas that are highlighted in an article published on MSN.com. Yeah, MSN. You remember that messaging service on your Windows computer? I guess they have a website now. And on this website, there is an article that goes over these latest Demidov comments, because Demidov in the video talks about how he is now considered the 13th forward with SKA St. Petersburg. I'll leave a link in the description if you want to go ahead and read this MSN.com article as well, but essentially it goes over some of the ideas that Demidov speaks about in the video interview. Here's the quote from the article. In a recent interview with a Russian media outlet, the attacker revealed some interesting information. He is currently considered SKA's 13th forward, which means that it's not impossible that he could be sent to the VHL, which is the equivalent of the American League here. According to the rules, he cannot be loaned to another team like Matvei Mishkov was last year, so if he really is SKA's 13th forward, the best thing for him would be to play in the VHL on the first line. Now, this is indeed talked about by Demidov in the video interview. He does say that he wants to be there for another year, and, he wants to be a part of this process of growing and everything, which is all good, It's all good at Applewood to see Demidov be committed to his circumstances, but to acknowledge that he is on the outside looking in, and maybe not even a guy to be guaranteed any minutes. That is kind of concerning, especially since it contradicts a lot of the information we had seen from the Montreal Canadiens and GM Kent Hughes just a few weeks ago. There was an entire ordeal with how Montreal wanted to see Demidov get proper development in the KHL. They didn't want him to be sent to the VHL, they didn't want him to be sent to the MHL, because if he was sent down, then Montreal would just step in and say, hey, here's a whole bunch of money, we're going to buy out the remainder of Demidov's contract so he can just come over here and play with us, and we'll have our eyes on him. So he's not developing in some random junior team in Russia where he's not going to be able to fully utilize his skill set and he's not going to be able to grow, because he was already a double point per game guy in that same league last season. So, KHL or bust for Ivan Demidov, right? And Kent Hughes, from the way that he was talking about it, seems like the SKA St. Petersburg team understood the assignment at hand here. Of course, SKA is not going to prioritize the development of an 18-year-old guy who's going to leave their team in a year over giving extra playing time to some guys that are already established veterans who can help them win hockey games today. But at the same time, it seems like there was a mutual understanding between the Canadiens and SKA that Demidov's purpose and role on the team was not going to be diminished to absolute zero. It wasn't going to be a press box role, he was actually going to get playing time, and he's actually going to get minutes. But for Ivan Demidov to speak out in an interview saying that he himself is the 13th forward, it could, I guess, trigger some spidey senses from Canadiens fans saying, hold on a minute, wait a sec, you are not supposed to be the 13th forward, because if you're not played, then Montreal is just going to step in there and bring you over here to North America. Ivan Demidov. Maybe Ivan Demidov is just being humble. Maybe he's trying to make it seem like his spot on the team is not guaranteed, so that the SKA coaches don't feel pressured to make any moves. Maybe Demidov is thinking about it like, hey, I'll just let my talent speak for itself. I was already the best player in the MHL in the underage age range, so my talent is already significant enough that I know I'm good enough to play on this team. I'm just going to let my skills do the talking and not let my mouth do the talking before the season even begins. And because of the rules that are in place here, where SKA can't just loan out Demidov to another inferior KHL team like they had done with Matvei Mishkov a year ago, there is kind of a handcuffed situation where SKA has to at least consider giving an amount of playing time that is satisfiable to the Canadiens and Ivan Demidov's development to Ivan Demidov. And, you know, I don't want to say that that's a bad thing. Of course, he's good enough, he's talented enough to score some points and make things happen offensively, so it's not like SKA St. Petersburg is going to get worse. It just always boils down to, hey, this guy's not going to be here after 2024-2025. Do we really want to commit as much ice time to a guy that we know is not going to be here long-term, instead of giving it to a guy whom we might be able to win over, and he might want to stay with SKA St. Petersburg? Some other random guy to play in the middle or top six who will actively make the choice to stay instead of leaving for the NHL like Ivan Demidov is already going to, because we know that's his path. Do KHL teams want to reward players that are going to leave their league by giving them extended ice time and development time? Usually, the answer is no. So for SKA St. Petersburg to agree with the Montreal Canadiens to do that in this upcoming year, it does kind of set a new precedence as to what we can expect out of these KHL athletes. So for Ivan Demidov to say pretty much the opposite in a video interview the other day, it gets a lot more interesting when you try to break down what this means for Demidov and his development. I have no doubt that he will find himself onto the KHL roster at some point this season. The question is whether or not that's really going to come with the best development possible. If he's getting the Vasily Podkolzin treatment, he's getting only 5 minutes of ice time a night, he's only being played in a checking role, then that's going to be terrible for Demidov and his development. It's going to be so unfortunate because he is such a talented guy who's worth way more than that. So for Demidov and his potential long-term, this will be one of the more important years when you consider how much he's going to be able to learn in his first full KHL year. If he gets the snub and he's only getting 5 minutes of ice time a night, then he's really not going to learn much, and I think that's another year's worth of development that he's going to be set back with from the SKA St. Petersburg club. So Montreal might have to do some catching up in that respect, but of course we hope that does not happen. We hope he just gets regular playing time. He plays with Evgeny Kuznetsov, he plays in a top six role, and he inevitably finds himself getting, let's say, half a point a game. That would be a pretty good point production metric, I'd say, for a guy who is just fresh into the KHL at 18 years old, especially for a guy who's already supposed to be leaving by the time next year comes around. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about Ivan Demidov and this concerning update from him, where he says himself that he is the 13th forward on SKA St. Petersburg. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.